Hello. Welcome to another video talking about just how good Undertale is. I'm not really going to spin you on this. I just wanted an excuse to talk about how much I love these games, and I wanted to do this for a while. I did miss the 10-year anniversary, but it's whatever. It's another Undertale video. It's a good game. I apologize. We're going to do the whole making you feel old thing real quick. While the initial Kickstarter launched in 2013, the little indie game that could, Undertale, released on September 15th, 2015. Over 10 years ago now. And damn it, nothing's ever been the same since. I actually did like a little review of the game way back soon after the game came out because it was like new and a hot thing at the time. Like it was a brand new game and I covered it. I've been here for a while. Oh god. So for additional context, this 10-year anniversary takes place square in the middle of Deltarune hype in between chapters 4 and 5. So we're still working on 10 years strong, and it is very easy to look around on YouTube or other social media and just see nothing but memes and plot theories and more memes and musical covers out the wazoo and more memes. Oh my god, the Asgore driving over Death thing with the Bergen truck song, it still drives me insane. This fandom is a pivotal part of the Undertale experience. For better or for worse, but on this anniversary, I want to do my typical shtick here, and I want to hype up Undertale. I want to talk a little bit about what we currently have on Deltarune, and highlight some of the fan projects that we got along the way. The things that defined my personal experience with this world that one Tobias Fox crafted all those years ago. Yes, the same Toby Fox that I guess now is like personal friends with Masahiro Sakurai. Ain't that crazy? Like many others out there, the phrase "I love Undertale" is not really anything surprising, but I will say that Undertale was the catalyst for me to explore a lot of different indie games that really evoked similar vibes, either it being this weird meta commentary that Undertale likes to pull off from time to time and time again, or just realizing that so many great stories can appear from something that is basically just made an RPG Maker. It was after Undertale came out that I discovered the likes of Yume Nikki and Off, what I would later learn are some pretty pivotal games in this genre, and they happened before Undertale. And in the years after that, we got a game like Omori, this incredibly emotional tale that's like a proper RPG. Lisa the Painful, which is another RPG that's just kind of sick and twisted and just really explores what you can do with an RPG Maker game. You got a rhythm take on this formula with Everhood, which is pretty blatant of an inspiration, but I don't really think that's a bad thing. It really does kind of come off as Undertale, but a rhythm game a lot of the times, but damn it if it still doesn't leave a really strong impression. And also shoutouts to our more modern indie game, Athenian Rhapsody, which also does the whole subverting expectations thing that Undertale does so well. By hey, you're running into a bunch of little funny little guys on the overworld map, and the battles are all little mini games. Of course, you gotta give a lot of credit to Earthbound 2, which not only inspired Undertale, but a bunch of other creative indie games over the years, and sure, the influence is very, very clear. I'm not the biggest fan of Earthbound, honestly, but I can appreciate that it was certainly very different for its time. Once again, going with the whole obliterating your expectations thing, you weren't a knight trying to save a princess and fighting dragons, you were just a kid and you were beating up hippies with a baseball bat. That was cool. Not a huge fan of the game personally, just on a gameplay level, but I can super appreciate just the creative vision that spawned in so many players who would then go on to make their own incredible creations. That's really cool. It's not that Undertale is the most original game in the world or anything like that, but it's very clear that there was some massive shift where Undertale became the game that if you wanted to try to capture a certain group of people's imagination, Undertale became the face of indie games, and rightfully deserved. I got to play Undertale really early in its hype cycle, like before the fandom took over and made everything kind of crazy in 2016. So I had a pretty pure experience without being spoiled by anything going into it. The initial trailer said it best. It's just an RPG where you don't have to fight any battles. That was all I knew going in, and it's damn near impossible to go in with that little knowledge if you haven't played the game yet. The fandom has given this little bit of software a life of its own over the last 10 years, and it can sometimes be difficult to just look at the game for what it is in its own bubble. And I feel like when you do that, you still get a damn good time. The premise opens the door for so much creativity, just a kid that fell down a hole in a mountain into a world of monsters that has been segregated from the rest of society due to some historic events. Okay, we can expand the hell out of that, and then hilarity ensues. And thanks to really clever writing, we have some of the most memorable characters of all time, in my opinion. Once again, you can meme Sans and Papyrus all you want, internet, I get it. Some people really want to portray Sans as like this kind of weird edgelord kind of character, but I don't know, he's just a funny little man. He's on a mission, but God, he's just a funny little guy. That initial zoom in with the skeleton joke and the rim shot, that was when I knew that this was going to be an all-timer game. It did not disappoint. And the whole WarioWareification of an RPG battle system and how the moves that you have to deal with correlate to the monster you're up against is such a neat idea. Obviously not a foreign concept. If you've played any of the Mario RPGs, you already know to expect how timing can be different based on the enemy you're fighting. But the fact that when it's the enemy's turn to battle and the field just becomes a blank canvas of a square where anything can happen, that's still such a remarkable idea. Shout out to Athenian Rhapsody. Once again, there's a lot of mileage you can get out of that. Considering it's an entire RPG battle system where you can fight if you want and then it turns into a more time-based battle system like the Mario RPGs, but if you play the game as instructed, you're meant to deal with every single character's unique battle animation. Honestly, I feel like it's genius. God, and the music, dude, oh my god, the soundtrack is so iconic and legendary, you don't need me to ramble on about this. There's like not a single bad music track in this entire game. A lot of people put Megalovania on some pedestal as like this all-timer battle theme, but I mean honestly, Asgore's battle theme clears it in my opinion. I'd probably even put Muffet's theme over it, honestly. The music that Toby Fox as well was able to compose is so iconic that you now start to see Toby Fox as a prominent composer in other games. It got me to try out Little Town Hero for the Switch. The game, it's not a good game, but hey, the soundtrack is. And of course, in the years after that, Toby did a bunch of great music for Pokemon as well, some really incredible stuff in Scarlet and Violet. And honestly, looking back, the timeline of Earthbound Halloween ROM hack to arguably the best endgame in Pokemon history is quite the thing to see. But for me, the thing that I think Undertale does so well, that resonated with me so strongly, is just the basic idea of subverting expectations. It's an RPG, but you don't have to use the typical RPG mechanics. That's bare minimum. But simple things like when you get to the tutorial segment and then Flowey ends up being the main antagonist. Sorry if you've been spoiled by that. I mean, once again, it's been 10 years. If you didn't know that, I'm astounded. You meet this cute little dog in a snowball. Oh, he's so adorable and cute. I'm gonna pet him. And then, oh my god. You start the game, you accidentally kill Toriel because you were curious about how far you can take this battle, and then you feel bad, so you start a new game, and then you don't kill her this time, and then Flowey acknowledges that you started a new game. Actual insanity. Oh, by the way, the bit where Flowey goes, oh, that's a wonderful idea.
That's a wonderful idea.
Apparently, that's like a weird pitched up version of this creepy old McDonald's commercial.
Hardy, that's a wonderful idea.
Okay, yeah, sure. It's like when people said that the sand soundbite is just the bit from SpongeBob where Patrick goes, oh, it's the way it looks like that's the way you're dressed.
Maybe it's the way you're dressed.
Yeah, man, whatever. I don't care anymore. What the hell's going on? Big props to some of the really cool game window manipulation that can go on the computer version of the game as well that I've rarely seen anywhere else. It mostly happens at the very end of the game, but I also just wanted this opportunity to say you should play Rhythm Doctor, because that game does the same thing. I'm not going to spoil how it works there, but oh, it's amazing. But the biggest impact of subverting expectations for me was the entire premise of the genocide run. I know so many people who did the pacifist run and simply did not have the heart and soul to see what a genocide run could possibly entail, and I jumped in immediately. I guess I'm a sociopath. I had to know. How could a game with a morality system actually make me feel like garbage, you know? And damn it, he pulled it off. I mean, before Undertale came out, I think the only game I really played that had a morale system was Infamous. You can be good and evil in that, and when I went with evil, I didn't really feel like a jerk, I just felt powerful. Undertale makes me feel like a jerk. The story kind of being this meta commentary about you, the player, going through all this tedious nonsense just to see genocide mode through to completion. I think I am a sociopath, but that made this run very special. Total honesty here, the phrase, "but nobody came," is permanently emblazoned in my mind as just something that, oh, it just instills bad memories in me, man. You walked into the shop that had the bunny mom and now she's not there anymore, and then you just steal everything from the countertop and there's a letter that says, "Please don't hurt my family." Like, oh my god. Plus, this was also after doing the whole bit in the pacifist run where you explore the underground and see all of these weird experiments that were taking place all this time on the different monsters and all this stuff that was happening literally under you this entire time. It's such a fascinating world here. It evokes this vibe of no matter what you're doing at any given point, there's something sinister out there, straight out of the depths of hell, and it's watching you. Dude, doing a deep dive on W.D. Gaster and how his being was spread across the entire code of Undertale, and you gotta manipulate the in-game values in order to find some of Gaster's followers, and the weird lore that he actually did exist and he was the scientist before Alphys, and oh good, it's so cool. It's so damn cool, dude. And don't even get me started on Togor. And man, ultimately I'm glad I waited to do this video because then I got to witness the 10-year anniversary official stream for Undertale, and it was one of the most insane things I've ever seen in my life. People may not expect me to be the type that would just see a new room in Undertale that was never seen before, and the guy playing it just bypasses it entirely and not think that it's insane. But I was actually losing my mind and no one else around me cared. It's insane. This was all insane. New parts of the ruins, new parts of Snowden, and you can see a young Noelle is there. There are a bunch of other NPCs that are just there now, like, okay, just having a good old time, I guess. And then, hey, there's a pacifist Sans fight now? They bypassed the WD Gaster door and it was colored now, as opposed to in the base game where it's black and white. What does that mean? Apparently all of this stuff is just for the stream. Perfect, man. Toby Fox, you're a psychopath. If you're a big Undertale fan and you missed this stream, you owe it to yourself to look at all of the new stuff that was just sprinkled in here that they barely addressed. They were just acting like, yeah, this is the game, of course it is. Spamton shows up and he eats a big cheese. You know, man, everyone's favorite Undertale moment. There's a new crazy boss fight in some area called the Dog Hole, and you can actually play this fight in a browser now, which is wild. And there was some introduced lore by having Gerson show up in Undertale, which, you know, for an in-game sprite that didn't exist before. And he mentions that I guess he once loved a human, and the humans used to have magic, and the reason they don't have any magic anymore is because they use all their magic to seal the monsters away. So there's actually lore. There was a lore drop in here, but once again, is this really official? Because this is only for the stream? I'm so confused. Toby Fox, you're a psychopath. Dude, I love Tenna so much. I mean, for one, I'm a little bit biased. His name is Ant, and I mean, same here. That's my name. That's kind of funny. But just everything about his first appearance with this crazy huge sprite and the dancing bit, like, oh my god, I love him so much. So much of this one particular chapter, if you take any screenshot out of context and just share it, it looks like a fake one, you know? Right before chapters 3 and 4 dropped, I watched that Friend Inside Me animation, which is a whole cool rabbit hole in and of itself. Like, apparently there was some rumblings that it could be cowboy themed, this new villain in the TV, you know? So someone took it upon themselves to make an animation for it, and it's incredible. But the whole time I was watching it, I was like, oh, okay, man, I don't know, it's neat, but that cowboy looks too fake. Like, he's really big and he's a little bit overly animated. It's neat, but it doesn't look like Deltarune, you know? And then this frickin' guy. Obviously, at the time of this video, Deltarune ain't complete yet, and at the rate that we're going, I'm just hoping that we're gonna get to the end of it before the sun blows out. But as it currently stands, I'm on the side that I actually think I'm preferring Deltarune more than Undertale, especially if Mr. Fox sticks the landing. It could be the sheer anticipation of waiting years between chapters, but also, it really feels like Toby is locking in for this story. Apparently he conceived the general idea for this way before Undertale was a thing, and clearly with all the extra years of polish, not only are the characters showing a remarkable amount of emotional depth, way more than we got in Undertale, we got gameplay mechanics that are more proper RPG-like with skill points, while still maintaining the mercy system with the minigame warriorification of defending from attacks. And once again, my sociopathic side is showing everything about the weird route currently is setting itself up to be way more mentally draining than Genocide was, and that's incredible. Poor Noelle. I mean that sucks. That sucks for her. We're putting her through a lot, but also it's cool storytelling. I just feel bad for her, you know? And I'm only now kind of getting to learn who Friend is. What the f? The shadow crystals are probably my favorite element of the story of Deltarune so far. It's another thing that's tying every single chapter together, leading to what? Nobody knows, but once again, subverting expectations. You spend chapter 1, you go and fight Jevil, he's really cool, got a super cool theme song, his battle is insane, you find out he's just someone who went crazy and had to get put in jail, but he thinks he's free. Whatever, man, sure. And then you do what Spamton in chapter 2. Oh man, we'll get to that. But I mean, you go through chapter 1 and 2 thinking it's just gonna be a creepy little guy holding all these crystals, but in chapter 4, it's a nice old man. Spamton G. Spamton, he's one of my favorite things ever, man. His speech pattern is hilarious, his theme song also incredible, and similarly, the kind of creepy, dark underbelly of a plot for him, how he was a normal salesman who went insane from some cursed phone call. God, it's just so interesting because like the Undertale part of my brain just wants to think it's somehow some Gaster influence, you know, like that's the safe bet. But now I'm learning about Friend, and is Friend gonna be this game's Gaster? Is that also like I don't know what's going on. and that is so much fun. There's a lot of the plot trying to make you think that you're going to try to figure out the whereabouts of Noelle's lost sister, Des, and I think the current prevailing theory is that she's actually being trapped in the code, similar to how Gaster was, and then there's that one scene where Spamton kind of freezes and some other voice comes in and is asking for help. I never would have put two and two together that that could have been Des, because I also watched that one Spamton animation where it was the same voice actor as Spamton, just not crazy, so I had my expectations set for that. And hey, what another great way to subvert expectations, you know? Is that Des? God, I don't know. But also I love during that cutscene with Spamton, he tells you that you can't trust the man in the television. He's a criminal, and he brings up this ominous Mike character, like, oh, who could this Mike character to be? Only to find out the man in the television is Tenna, I guess, and then Tenna goes, oh, Mike, you gotta hit the lights, and like, oh, we're gonna find out who Mike is. And then it's just a trio of idiots that's just like an inside joke of all the people who have been making theories for the last 10 years, and it turned out to be nothing, I guess. But then again, I also don't know that because the official newsletter indicates that, I don't know, they may have something to do in Chapter 5 because there was an animation for them. I don't know what's going on. I want off this ride. I'm excited, but I want off this ride. This whole Deltarune section has just been a lot of mindless rambling because I honestly just love so many different elements of the storytelling of Deltarune, but currently there's nothing really conclusive with all of this, so it's just a bunch of speculation and fan theories. And I gotta tell you now, us Deltarune fans, this is a calling out to any one of you right now, you better enjoy this time while it's here, because once all of these questions are finally answered, it'll still be awesome, and there will probably be some prevailing theories to be had, but currently, the whereabouts of Papyrus and the identity of the Roaring Knight, who that could also be Des, I don't know, is still not confirmed. And damn it, I know when we finally get those answers, I'm going to lose it, and I have no doubt the end of the weird route's also going to make me lose my mind. It's probably going to be like Susie realizes that you're being bad, and then you're probably going to 1v1 Susie, and it's going to be like a remix medley of Susie's theme and Megalovania. It's going to be the hardest boss in the series so far, and oh god, I can't wait. I know there is a big chunk of people out there who are saying they really want to wait to play Deltarune until every chapter is complete, and I do appreciate that notion, I really do, but man, you're missing out. Currently, with chapters 1 through 4, there is still a whole lot to dive into, so my recommendation, get started now. You're going to want to build up multiple save files for when the full game is complete anyway, and that'll only make sense to you once you dive into the game, but there's benefits to starting now is all I'm saying. Perhaps I'll talk about Deltarune again when the game is finally complete, because there will be so much to digest, but I don't know. Once again, hopefully within the next 10 years that's a reality. Chapter 5 is currently slated for 2026, and I really hope that's true. Dude, ain't it insane that Sans got into Smash Brothers and Crash Bandicoot didn't? What is going on in this world? Before I wrap up this Undertale fan fest, I would be remiss if I didn't cover some of the fan games that I highly recommend that really expand on this underground universe. You can play these games, you can watch videos on them, I really don't care as long as you consume them because there's a lot of cool stuff there. I remember early on, fan games and fan animations that are mock battles were so limited in scope. Of course we got some ideas of what a Gaster battle could be, you know, but I really remember Disbelief Papyrus being the one that stuck out to me as a simple swap in the universe. What if Sans was the brother that got taken out in Snowdin and not Papyrus, and then the roles flip and you fight against Papyrus, who is still wanting to believe the best in you, but also wants to avenge his brother? It's pretty cool. That showed up really early on in the Undertale fandom and showed right away the potential this fan base had to offer, and now, dude, it's an entirely different playfield. Delta Traveler is a really cool one I've been keeping my eye on for a while. In Deltarune, the entire idea is you're going into the Dark World, and whatever that Dark World is, who knows? I mean, now in the canon of the world, we know that everything in the real world just kind of has a Dark World equivalent, but what if instead of that, it's just transporting you to an entirely different universe, like the world of Undertale, or Earthbound, or Undertale again, but everyone is pissed off. I normally shy away from fan games that just kind of go with no rules whatsoever and like it's just for fun and not committing to the rules of the universe that were established, which is such a petty thing to think about, I know. But Delta Traveler is really committing to how Deltarune feels and plays. It's a really fun project. I definitely recommend checking it out. Undertale Plus, this is also a really fascinating one that I honestly can't even tell the entire scope of what's going on here. On the surface, it is a full-blown remake of Undertale with a bunch of new settings like wide widescreen, more detailed graphics, a brand new achievement system. All of the unique console exclusive stuff is now in one place, and that's kind of interesting, even though a lot of that stuff wasn't all that great. But I mean, hey, having it in one place is cool. But the trailer also featured a bunch of other things, like online multiplayer and turning the combat into Deltarune's side-scrolling style. It's funny, you don't really think about it, but enough time has passed with Undertale, and you're seeing enough improvements with Deltarune on the base mechanical level that Undertale could actually probably benefit from some kind of remake. And if Undertale Plus is the closest we have to it, I'm fine with that. This is a great project. But of course, part of the reason I wanted to do this video is I finally wanted to talk about Undertale Yellow. Early on in the video, I talked about how the world of Undertale really lends itself to a lot of imagination. Well, okay, you, the playable character, is the 7th child to enter the underground, and the king wants your soul. Of course, right? Your soul is red, but what about the other souls that you only get brief nuggets of information about throughout your adventure? Well, let's take Yellow, for example, and give him his own game. There was enough information in Undertale to indicate that Yellow was gonna be some kind of cowboy character with a cowboy hat and a gun, so okay, we go with that, we name it Clover, perfect. Now let's make an entirely new Undertale game. This took so many years to develop because the creator was dedicated to making this feel as authentic of a game as you possibly can get out of a fan project. Undertale Yellow starts off just like Undertale, but you flip one switch incorrectly and then boom, you're in an entirely new section of the underground and an entirely new adventure begins. And just like Undertale, there's a whole new adventure of wacky characters, fun gameplay mechanics, really emotional story beats that all really feel like they may as well be canon. Especially when you see this game through to completion with the multiple endings. This story was handled with so much love and care, and if you love Undertale and want more of that world specifically, not just Deltarune, this couldn't come any more highly recommended. There are a few fan games that deserve to be up in the spotlight with official properties. Games like AM2R, games like Sonic Triple Trouble 16-bit, games like Rayman Redemption. Undertale Yellow is in that conversation, and I know some people get kind of defensive because do you really want a fan project to actually mess with the official canon of the world? But at the end of the day, you gotta remember this. Video games are fun, alright? It's that simple. I don't think Toby Fox is gonna start throwing Clover in there as a little character in Deltarune for a little Easter egg. I don't think you're gonna see that, but I mean, why not? The way this character Clover leaves his legacy at the end of Yellow and how it transitions into the proper Undertale, it's commendable what that team was able to accomplish, on top of it simply being just a really fun game. I know Undertale means a lot to a lot of people, but don't take it that seriously. There's a lot of good fan projects out there. There's a lot of fans that do kind of ruin it for a lot of people. Don't let those people spoil the bunch. Undertale Yellow and everything else that we've talked about today are crowning achievements. They all come from different people and they're all still special. And I'm sure the general reception to Yellow means that somewhere in the internet underworld, the other colors are getting their own fan games too. And I'm very excited about that. Undertale Purple, probably gonna be a banger. Undertale Green, probably gonna be a banger. Undertale Red, I mean, okay, well I think that's just actual Undertale, I guess, right? Okay, so Orange. Orange is gonna be sick for sure. Listen, I know this video didn't have any coherent points whatsoever. I just really wanted to rave about Undertale and Deltarune and everything that's happened in the last 10 years, because as the title says, all these years later, this is all still very special. I like to think that at the end of the day, Undertale told a story all about kindness and empathy, as well as the ramifications of your actions, no matter how big or small they are, managing to evoke emotions across every iota of the spectrum in spectacular fashion. And at a base level, just gave us some of the most endearing characters and most memorable RPG-ish moments of all time. I'm sorry, but Sans telling you to take a look into the telescope and then you look and then you turn around and there's like the little marker circle around your eye. Incredible. It's incredible stuff. Sure, like any other game out there, I know it's not for everybody, and I accept that. And there are memes aplenty that almost overshadow the actual game itself. But hey, that's still one of the best parts about the universe of the Underground, and even the dark worlds of Deltarune. They lend themselves to creative interpretation. No matter where your mind is at, who knows, maybe everything you've ever seen is canon. That would probably drive you insane, but I mean, there's someone out there who probably thinks that. I guess I should do the whole game reviewer thing now, huh? Yeah, if you haven't played Undertale yet, you should do that. It's regularly on sale. You know, if it's been sitting on your backlog for so long, get over it. What are you doing? Fun fact, did you know that the official Toriel plush actually has a little heart inside of it, and the only way you can get access to it is by ripping her to shreds, just like in the actual game? Oh, that's crazy behavior, but I appreciate it. That's it. No more Undertale talk for another decade. We're actually going to be talking about some more indie games again very soon, and that's exciting for me. But yes, Toby Fox, thank you so much for all you're doing. I am over the moon excited for Deltarune Chapter 5 and beyond. And if you're a fan out there and you're working on a fan game, a remix, some fan art, whatever it may be, good luck to you all. And yeah, that's all I got. Not sure how else to end this.